Welcome to the Grief Pie Podcast. This is a show where we motivate and inspire men to share their grief one bite at a time. Thanks for tuning in and adding your voice and stories so that we can all heal and find joy together. Now please welcome your hosts, Gary Scott and James Rafter.
Hey guys, it's Gare, and welcome to another episode of Grief Pie. Two guys sharing grief, one bite at a time, and a dog sharing grief with us. So today's episode, my big buddy James Rafter over, I don't know where he is, and his wonder dog Finn are going to be talking. We're going to be talking about a brutal subject for both of us and pretty much everyone who's gone through the loss of a spouse like we have. And that is when it's time to remove the personal items of that person. And when, where, how, why, and so on and so forth. So, Jim, I know we're different on this. Again, you're just over a year out from Jen's passing. I'm 9 years. I was literally just going through a bunch of boxes yesterday. So there's no rhyme or reason to this. So, but what did you do? How'd you get started with Jen's stuff?
Well, Speed Racer, if you're ready to fire this Mach 5 up, let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
You go, Speed Racer. Or is that's a
it's
different one.
go Speed Racer, Windy, never mind. I know too much.
Wasn't that the Mach 5?
Yeah, it was the Mach 5, man.
Yeah,
It was the
okay,
best
that's what I
race
thought.
car ever
Yeah.
until they made a weird movie out of it in the 2000.
Dude.
In any event, we digress. So you and I, as per usual, we have similar paths that take different off ramps and on ramps and turns. Hence the Mach 5 reference. And Racer X, which was the never mind.
I digress. So where we were a moment ago, before you started with watching cartoons, was about how, when, why,
Yes.
where we decided, and what we did with our other person, our other spouse, our partner's stuff after they passed.
So to be serious, you're 9 years ago. I was a year ago. So the resources we had to get rid of stuff was completely different, right? You didn't have a next door neighbor app on your phone where you put out, ads and said, hey, come get shit, right? So it took me about a week before I decided I needed to tackle it. And then one of my nieces is like, well, yeah, just go to Nextdoor app and tell everyone what you have. And I'm like, oh, I don't want people in my apartment. I got still a couple of months before I'm going to bail from La Jolla. So I don't want to be attacked or have to shoot somebody. But so what we did, and Jen was amazing at her clothes. She was a fashionista. She loved granoling stuff, putting everything together. Everything matched. She was gorgeous to the nines. So I put this all out there, and I had furniture, but I had furniture from the house. So I'll take a little step back, and again, I'll try to keep my time short. But we sold the house, and when we sold the house and went to San Diego for treatment, it wasn't over. So it was, no, you're not getting rid of any of my crap. So we had I spent what, $1,200 a month on storage units. Um, because there was no way I was gonna start purging and getting rid of stuff um while she was still fighting. So that's a big
Let me ask you about Jen's stuff real quick, just because it just reminded me of something. April was not a clothes horse, she very, very, she toned down with her dress and stuff like that. But April lost a ton of weight, and so we had to buy some stuff. So we ended up at the child section at Target because she lost so much weight. She got so small. Jen had a lot of beautiful clothing, but she started out one size and just kept shrinking. So did she just keep fashionisting all the way down?
yeah. So that's, and we're gonna get into this right now. Is yeah. So once she got into the 70s pounds, right? She's on, and again, 9 years ago, April wasn't on Amazon every day buying stuff, right?
Oh no.
And would sit in the house, on a drip or whatever, and she'd just be like, "Well, those are cute." And every day
So
there's a
so
Amazon
basically there's
box.
like so basically there's like 20 Amazon drivers out of work right now because Jen's passed.
Well, Jeff Bezos can't finish his boat that he had to take apart. So, so she was very good at shopping and doing stuff. Um, my favorite part of this, and then I'll throw it off to you, is I did get onto neighborhood neighbor.com or whatever it was, right? And put the ads up. And people came and got the furniture from the apartment and ever, whatever. But then I had just a ton of clothes. And this lady who we are now really, really good friends, had gone through her own medical issues and lost, 200 pounds, right? So she didn't have,
Wow.
the little clothes. She only had big clothes. So she comes over, and she actually went to school at Palm Springs High. Is, and she lives in La Jolla, and she's a super nice lady. But she has the Coachella Valley connections, which is, again, God works just in crazy ways sometimes, right? Um, So she comes in and she's like, "Yeah, I'm really sick." Um, and she's a diver. She swims out of La Jolla and stuff, but she had some intestinal issues and lost just a ton of weight. But she comes in and she's like, "Oh my God, and she spent literally 2 hours going through Jen's closet to randomly everything, you know, shoes, things. And I was really happy about that because at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, most of it was donated to Goodwill or San Diego Rescue Mission or whatever. Um, but she came in, we had a great talk, got to be friends, and then we've started doing lunches once a month. And she'll come in and, "Hey, I've got this outfit on," and she'll wear a Jen outfit, and that just warms my friggin' heart to death. So to that point, makes a difference on how you get rid of stuff. But if you can make someone else happy, oh my God, what the hell? How about y'all?
Yeah. Well, kind of like everything else I did with April's sickness and passing, I screwed that up big time too. Um, you guys had the curse blessing of knowing Jen was going, so you guys can talk about, and we'll talk about that. But kind of like we talked about on a previous podcast, is, April just lost a luego. So it was kind of although we knew she was dying of cancer, very sick, we didn't know, to what extent. But so for me, it was like the shock of, I was living at the hospital for the last 2 weeks of her life. And so I wasn't really home much. And my friends told me I wore the same clothes for like 3 weeks when I go in the office, which had to be nice. Um, so it was really for me just the shock of leaving the hospital, coming home to our home, which I still have, which we shared, while she was sick, and she's not there and she's not coming back. Right. So you're like, wow, all of her stuff is here. And my initial reaction was, oh, I don't want to get rid of anything because I want her around me. Right. That lasted until the morning when I was like, I got to get all this stuff out of here. Right. Because I'm like freaking out looking at she's everywhere. Right. I can't. So that was really tough. So I started blowing stuff out fast. Like I said, giving it away. The kids didn't want it. We have two boys. They didn't want her clothes. They didn't want her jewelry. They didn't want any of that stuff. So that was the really tough part is coming home. She's not there and all of her stuff's there. And, now what do I do? You had told me something funny that you didn't even know, but unbeknownst to you, I like to use that saying, unbeknownst. Um, Jen had given some of her stuff to a neighbor and say, "Hey, man, the Tiffany collection. What'd she do? Hold on to this or clean it? Or why'd she give it to your neighbor?"
So if you're gonna go unbeknownst, I'm gonna go 100%.
Well, you have to. You know what? I don't think you used 100% in one of our last episodes.
I know
I had thousands of fans write in about that.
oh, so yeah, as you were talking about that, that popped in my mind that I wanted to bring that up, and that just came out, a couple weeks ago, where our neighbor, one of, sweetheart friends, that she's like, hey, I found, I've got all Jen's Tiffany stuff that I had gotten cleaned and polished, and for the last, 2-3 weeks, a month of, Jen, she's like, where are my bracelets? Where's all my stuff? And we're like, I don't know. It'll show up. And Denise had it all the time. It was pretty funny.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, April didn't have a lot of jewelry. She really, just wasn't into jewelry and clothes and stuff like that. 'Cause we spent all our money traveling, but yeah, some of the stuff that we had, we had mentioned I gave a lot of away, and a lot of it I was going to sell. Like diamond jewelry and necklaces and earrings and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm going to sell it, get the dough for it. I don't know. And then I caught my mom and I said, Mom, I'm going to go to this place and sell April stuff. You want to go with me? And she's like, you're not selling that stuff. I'm like, well, why not? And she's like, because when I see it, it reminds me of April. And so she goes, let's find out what they would give you and I'll buy it off you. And I'm like, really? I go, I don't have a daughter. I'm not going to be. She goes, well, one day you'll have a daughter, or maybe you'll have granddaughters. So we're keeping it. I'm like, all right. So I just gave it to my mom, and my mom, who adored April to no end. Yeah, so she has it. She has that stuff, what minimal jewelry. But again, so it's coming home and going, what do I do with all this stuff? I wasn't prepared again because April wouldn't have the talk, right? What do you do? I mean, so that's again, you guys all tune in for our planning podcast, which is coming up, or it's already been done because I don't know what order we do these things, but that's part of that plan. Is that what do you do, right?
Yeah, and so the little bit of difference with us, right? I had my daughter, so there's a lot of stuff jewelry wise that I made her take. I don't know if she wanted it so much. But I knew that down the road, um, they're gonna want it. I know I went through that with my mom when she died. None of my siblings took any of her stuff. And Jen and I took like most of it. We were like, gypsies from Romania or some shit. We just took everything we could.
Right.
And um and then years down the road, I've got my sisters and brother that are like, where's this? What happened to this? And I'm like, well, you people were stupid. I finally have the boys wanting some stuff, and we had talked about this. I don't even, it was probably an outtake or something, but we had just been chit-chatting about how we get into this kind of topic. But the boxes of pictures, right? And what to do with the massive amount of 32, 33 years of pictures. Uh, so I just took all the boxes over to Sam and dropped them in her garage. Went out to Best Buy and bought a picture scanner and said, "You guys start scanning shit."
Brilliant idea. Brilliant. I was telling you, I literally, am still doing it. I mean, we had boxes, those plastic, those big plastic containers that you get at Home Depot, tons of them. And I started going through them early, couldn't do it. And then they sat there for a number of years, went through it again, got rid of some, downsized some. Then I had the boys come with me and say, "Hey, you go through this with me and pick what you want. I mean, this is wicked bad." And then I'm like, "Well, I like this one, take a picture with my phone. I like this one, take a
Right.
picture with my phone." I'm like, this is
Exactly.
stupid, right? So I need a plan. And I'm like holding negatives up to the sun, like, wonder what's on these. Does anyone even do negatives? I mean, what am I gonna do with negatives, right? Um, but it was super, super emotional. I mean, that was wicked bad bringing that up because, like you said, you've got 30 years of memories in a box, and you're trying to clean it out, and you don't need 97 pictures of Zach blowing out his third birthday candle, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
He's three. One picture, maybe two, is all you need. You don't need 37 of them, right? So it's just, like you said, the courage to purge. I mean, you've just got to try to somehow get through those real emotional ones, And again, the clothes was emotional, but the pictures were really emotional.
Yeah, the clothes, it was just more of a mission to like help other people out, right? How can we put um these into better use now, right? The pictures, the boxes, and I know we just talked about it, but the boxes of pictures, oh my God, dude, it's just
Well, but
insane.
the other thing is, you had the house where you and Jen had lived for a long time. And then you sold that house and you had all that stuff. I mean,
Don't get me
that's why
started,
you had what, 3 storage sheds. And she's like, "You can't get rid of our stuff. I'm still here."
right?
It's like you're cutting checks every month, like the jerk, $5,900, $3,000, just
Do
writing
not
checks to
do
store.
not tell the IRS anything about my checks and storage units. But
No,
yeah,
no, we won't do
so
it. But I mean, that's emotional too, because now she's gone. And now what? Now you've got to go into all these storage sheds and relive all this stuff again. The beds, the furniture, the couch, the recliner she stayed in. I mean, it's just like, dude, you just keep getting whacked in the head, right?
and again, luckily I have the have had the resources to be able to do that. A lot of people don't, and a lot of people hide from this for 5, 6, 10 years before they even think about, you know, shit, I gotta get rid of that couch, or that bed. Uh, I just threw it all in storage sheds and, you know, took 6 months to get, out of town. And then um just recently this year, when I went to Arizona and did stuff, um, because again, the hardest part, like you said, was you can't get rid of anything while they're still fighting. And
Oh,
that's
hell no.
and so that's advice from me to y'all listening is you got to be patient and understand, even if you know what's coming down the road, you got to give them that hope and your heart, and
Well,
not give up.
first of all, you said y'all, so that right there made me feel good. But on the other side of that, because we both took two sides, you did the planning and I didn't do any planning. Um, it really, I think, behooves. There's another right, behooves, right? I don't remember that other sentence I said, but I like behooves. Um, it really makes sense if you can, if you could get that person, your significant other who is, fighting. But if you can kind of broach that subject of, are there people that you want to have this stuff? If God forbid,
Yep.
Something happens to you, right? Who do you want to have this jewelry? Who do you want to have this? Who do you want to have that sunflower picture? Who do you want to have whatever? If you can get them there, I couldn't get April there, so I didn't know what to do with her crap. But I think that's a big, big help for people because then you're kind of not just dumping stuff or getting rid of stuff, even if you're giving it away for free, but you're following a loved one's wishes of
Yeah, and their legacy and
meant
what they
something.
want and what they want to have happen. And it
Yeah.
is a tippy tight um rope that we have that you have to go down once you're crossing that canyon, um because it's really hard, and no, and we talk this all the time, right? There's no manual, there's no, hey, this is how it's supposed to be done. It's just everyone's individually different and they have their moments, and especially when someone is really sick, they have good days, bad days, days they're like, okay, I get it. um I want this and this to happen, and other
But there's
days
a
are like,
lot of days where they are grumpy bears.
you're not. And
I
I,
mean,
yeah,
Jen was in significant pain. And April, because the type of cancer she had in the stomach, was in significant pain and
yep,
also kept her from eating, which you get the hangries really hard,
yep.
right? So, you got to pick your spots so you don't get stabbed. You might go before they do if you don't pick your spots.
These spots where it's like, oh, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, just quick piece of advice, right? Um, try to have the conversation, but understand, especially once you know. Again, I knew going in, and you didn't know until the last minute or whatever, right? So
Mhm.
there's going to be different challenges, but you gotta as the surviving partner, right? You got to be prepared and the adult in the room.
And
Um,
you got to ask for help. And I think we've touched on this theme a lot in the hundreds and hundreds of podcasts that we've done. We touch on that a lot. You have to ask for help because sometimes a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a best buddy might be able to get there easier than you can. I mean, it's like your neighbor. She just handed all that Tiffany crap to your neighbor, right?
yep.
Without unbeknownst to you. Um,
Unbeknownst. Word of the
unbeknownst to you.
day.
But so that's a big deal, right? So she was able to help her with that. So, but you still got to ask for help because I mean, I remember when Elisa's mom passed and we had a literal ton of stuff to get rid of, right? And we didn't know what to do with it. We didn't know who wanted where. She kind of passed suddenly. We didn't know that we knew she was sick, but we didn't know that she was like dying sick. And so there was so much there. And it's just her and her brother. And Lisa's in charge of getting rid of this stuff. She had a jewelry shop. So it was like massive amounts of stuff. What do you do with it?
how do you get rid of it? And you've got the physical side of it, you got the stuff, but then you have the emotional side of it, which is I don't want to part with this stuff.
That is a great point. Shikaba is I probably have too much stuff that I can't get rid of still. So I'm down to one storage. Uh, but there's just things, I like having, that remind me of her, which gets into a whole different podcast on future relationships and keeping too much stuff around that, the next gal may not be so hoopy doopy about.
Well,
But
you told me a couple things that were really touching to me. One is the gal that you met that you gave a ton of the clothes to,
yeah,
and like you guys were meeting for lunch, and of course, her husband's there. She's a married gal. There's
yeah.
no weirdness there. You guys are friends. And she showed up. I just got goosebumps thinking about it. She showed up in Jen's like one of her favorite little outfits, not knowing that it was Jen's favorite little outfit.
No, she knew. She did it on purpose.
Oh, she did. Oh, I didn't know that she knew.
No, yeah, no, because she had Garanimaled again. She spent 2 hours going through Jen's closet and Garanimaled, 50 outfits.
Wow.
Um,
So you had
and
mentioned that was her favorite, and that's why
yeah, it was her lily outfit. I mean, she loved lilies or daisies. I don't know.
Well, the other thing that you mentioned to me that I thought was really cool, but also kind of, it's kind of sucky is that, you guys loved watching cooking shows together. And so now you've got all the shit. Like we all have all this cooking stuff, which we'll never use. And you kind of don't know what to do with that stuff either, right?
For the most part, I just took everything to Samantha's house and put it in her garage.
Poor
And
Samantha, her garage is the wasteland for mom's shit.
I love her so much. But yeah, like the sous vides and the griddles and the hot pot stuff and everything. Yeah, so we were just talking about clothes, right? I mean,
Right.
Jen and I, and I appreciate you bringing that up. We were such foodies and just loved chefing together. That was our thing, right? That there's so much shit out there in Sam's garage. And she's like, Dad, I don't know. I'm like, I don't want that. Take it. It's
Hey, did you guys do the chopped kitchen? Did you
yeah.
guys reenact? Yeah. Zachy and I did that all the time. Zachy and I, because he's my little chef with me, right? We would do the chopped kitchen all the time. I'd say, all right, we're gonna go to the grocery store, right? We're gonna buy just random crap like a Twinkie
Yep.
and a filet mignon. And we're gonna just challenge ourselves to make something out of it. We had so much fun doing that. Zach and I had that. April did not cook. She had one thing that she made, and it was crispy chicken. And that was the boys' favorite. And no one made crispy chicken like their mom. But other than that, I did all the cooking, so we didn't have a lot of stuff like that. But I do know to this day the things that I still have, and again, most of them are pictures. I was a hat guy for a long time, and I had over 1,000 hats, and I got bags and bags of them. So today, Elisa's like, "Hey man, we got to get rid of these." I'm like, "You're right." So I was going through it, and I came across, a number of hers, that she wore on different trips, and it's like, fuck. It's like, this one we wore in Amsterdam. She wore this one when we went to London. This one she wore all through Italy. And it's like, shit. 9 years later, it's a catch-22. You're reliving it and enjoying it, but you're reliving it and not enjoying it.
Yeah, I agree 100% of all the trips that Jen and I did around the world and stuff. There's always mementos, things, and I can't get rid of them. They're just going to be stacked forever and
They're on
until
my
my
bookshelf behind me. Yeah, and
until
Lisa's just so
until I
great with
die.
that stuff. And like you said, when you get the next partner,
which maybe you do, maybe you don't. Hopefully you do. But I mean, I've been blessed with getting another partner, 6 years later. And there's just stuff of mine and April's that are laying around, that I'm just not gonna get rid of. Lisa and I have a lot of our own memories. They're all up there around the house and stuff like that. But I mean, there's just stuff that you just go, look, man, I realize it's from a previous marriage. I realize she passed. I realize it's most, but I just don't want to part with it. I guess I could give it to one of the kids. But I I don't want to.
And we talked about this in a prior podcast. You asked me, did my kids move on? Have they moved on? And I think that's one of the things that's helped, especially my boys moved on. They're starting their own life and not taking a lot of that stuff from the past. Same with Sam, but I tend to be, just because she's closest and has the biggest garage, that I can throw crap at her. But that's really hard. But for me, my own personality, right? Is
Yeah.
I still have my sea bag, my stuff from the Marine Corps, my deployments overseas. I'm a pack rat when it comes to special memories, and I'm 60 freaking years old, so I got a whole bunch of shit.
But you've downsized your life into a motorhome, Jim Rockford. So where do you keep all this stuff? In Samantha's garage.
Samantha's, and I just got out of the lease from the office storage place in Arizona and just put it into a 10 by 10. I downsized. It was really hard. I finally had to give away a lot of my mom's stuff, furniture that she, it wasn't anything special, but it was something special to her that Jen and I had for years, and then had to watch guys that I hired just tear it apart and go take it to the dump. That was really hard.
Well,
Back then.
Jen and your mom were close. So
Oh
some
my
of your
God.
mom's
Yeah.
stuff, yeah, meant something to Jen.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I was very fortunate that those two just adored each other. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on with that, losing both of them. Because just to put this in context, one of the things I cry about a lot is that I only got 30 years with each of them. So I was 30 when my mom died. Jen and I were married just over 30 years. So 30 is not a fun number for me, but they loved each other so much. I was very fortunate with that.
Yeah. So how much? I mean, I'm down to now boxes of photographs, um, which has been wicked hard. Again, I tried to do it this weekend because we don't have a garage, unlike Samantha. We just have a carport. So I'm trying to downsize more stuff out of our shed, out of the back. So got the pictures out, and I did a fairly good job of downsizing some more stuff. The last knickknacks from travel and stuff, I'm just never gonna get rid of and stuff like that. So, where are you? I mean, how much more are you just gonna take a break from it? It's just too emotional, or are you still trying to work through downsizing some more stuff from Chen?
All her personal stuff is gone. It's now just all my emotional stuff. And that's why I've got the small storage and all the pictures at Sam's. And I won't push Sam to do anything until she's ready. I mean, we'll go through pictures at times when I'm out there and visiting, and we'll find one we're like, oh my God, and then we'll just take the picture or throw it in the scanner, whatever. I don't want to pressure those kids. I'm gonna let them take their time on what's important and what's not. But yeah, so everything super personal, all her clothes, all the frivolous stuff is gone. It's just now my emotional stuff that I have.
That's kind of a
Kind of
great
like,
theme, to kind of wrap this up is take your time.
yep.
Do what you need to do at your own pace. Do the do like you do at your own pace because you knew it was coming. You kind of were able to get the storage, stuff like that. Mine was a little bit more surprising, although, we knew April was sick and stuff like that. But man, I just blew through it really fast, probably too fast. Looking back, I probably wish I would have saved some stuff, maybe now, to have waited a little bit longer before but it was just such an emotional trauma of her passing the way she did, and then walking into the house and being alone in this house, and then being alone in this house with her stuff. And I couldn't do it. I just wanted it gone. And again, mistake number 9,472. Um, Looking back, I think I wish I would have taken my time or planned ahead. Probably is better.
Well, although we'll talk about that at some point, but there's no planning that comes with purging. It's seat of your pants. Um, like you just said, take your time, one day at a time. Everything you don't need to do everything at once. You probably also don't need to wait like 10 years and hoard stuff, but somewhere in there is a balance.
Right.
A balance.
I'm on year 9, still holding on to stuff. But I'm going to repeat something that I've repeated on a number of podcasts that you said that just sticks with me. That it just fits for every podcast we talk about it because it fits for every aspect of the grief, and it's the grief stress equation. And it's just, when you said that, it's still just so locked into my brain because it just applies to almost everything we talk about, right? That the more you're able to somehow set your mind um, about what's going on so you could try to deal with that grief, the less stress it's going to create for you on the other side when that person passes. Because you've got enough grief, you got enough going on. You don't need the stress of what do I do with all this stuff?
And use your resources. Reach out to friends and family and be vulnerable and let them help out because they're waiting for you to ask if they can help. And if you're
Yeah.
too proud and
Or
like you got
stupid, like I was. I
right,
was
like
too
like
proud, too stupid. Yeah. Tried to do it all
then
myself.
yeah, you can't. And so that's again another message for us as we tr trudge through this butthole. Um, don't don't be afraid to use everybody you can. And if someone can't do it, don't get mad. It's it is they everyone has their own lives, but there'll be friends, family that'll be there to prop you up. And you know, um, I've said this before because we'll just get a little religious. Again, when you're walking in the sand and you only see one pair of footprints, um, someone's um, holding you up and carrying you through that journey.
Yeah. Amen, brother. Amen, brother. So thank you for walking down this one with me, us together. Hopefully this was helpful. It was a little shorty, but hopefully this was helpful for all of our friends out there. Um, Again, just there's no right way to do this. You know, whether you were together a year or 30 years or 50 years, right? There's no good way to do this. And it's going to be tough. Those memories are going to flood in like a mofo. Um, it's emotional and enjoy those emotions. I mean, these are things you shared together for all those years. It's just as much a part of you as it is a part of them. So, let those emotions flood in as you're going through this stuff. Hold on to that extra thing a little bit tighter. It's okay. I know people who had garage sales, and people would come up and like negotiate on one of an outfit that their wife loved, right? And they're just like, you know what? It's not for sale. I'm keeping it, right? Because it was too emotional. It's like, seriously, bro? And so I get that's part of what garage sales are. I'm not Dr. Russell, but you know what I mean? It's like, I'm just gonna hold on to that. And you could do that with all the stuff. I've done it for 9 years with a lot of this stuff. But just understand, it's your stuff too. It wasn't just their stuff. It's your stuff too. Um, and it's emotional.
And
You ready for it?
and because our wives were so special and we understood what was important to them, it makes a big difference to know that wherever you send the stuff, right, it's a place where they would go, thank God. Like when I sent everything to a rescue mission in San Diego, right, I knew Jen was like the stork carrying, half the stuff. Just
Stork? She was a
yeah, like
stork?
delivering baby. I
Isn't
don't
it?
know.
Yeah,
It's
the
they're
baby
good.
thing, right?
There was a lot of diapers and wipes and um, but no, when you can commit to their memory and know that that's what they would have wanted, then you feel so much better.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right, man. Well, thank you for going down this with me.
It was fun.
Keep up the good work on your courage to purge. Sorry, Schmitty. And I love you. Looking for the next one, guys. So tune in. Hope you enjoy it, like it, share it, do whatever you want with it. Good, bad, or indifferent. We'd really like to hear about our little stippy of grief pie. 2 guys and a dog sharing grief, one bite at a time. All right, brother. You got one last thought?
I love you. This was a good one. And again, it's good because it's helpful, and that's what we want to ultimately be. We just don't want to be two sad guys. We want to be two helpful guys, moving forward. So I love you, bud, and
Love
I
you
will
too,
see
brother.
you on the next side.
Yes, sir. See ya.
This has been our weekly broadcast, brought to you by the Grief Podcast Studios. We can be found in audio-only format on all the popular podcasting platforms. Remember to like and subscribe and to hit that alert button so you don't miss any episodes. Thanks again, and until next time, treat yourself gently. And don't bite off more than you can chew. Healing is a process.